Today's video will be on Cartesian planes, which are also called number planes. So the learning goals for today, we have quite a few. So you'll be able to identify the origin on a Cartesian plane by the end of the lesson. You'll be able to plot coordinates onto a Cartesian plane. You'll be able to identify the coordinates of a point plotted onto a Cartesian plane. And you'll be able to identify and label all four quadrants of a Cartesian plane. Now, on the left here, we've got a Cartesian plane. So it's, as I said, also called a number plane. So you can see we've got a number of axes here. We've got two axes. So we've got our horizontal axis, which we call our x-axis. So you can see here it's labeled. We've got our x-axis on the horizontal axis, and our vertical axis is called our y-axis. So there's also four quadrants in a Cartesian plane as well. So this is the first quadrant. This is our second, our third, and our fourth. So you will have to know these. That's one of our learning goals. So make sure you know the quadrants. So you're just traveling around in an anti-clockwise directions. So we can plot points on a Cartesian plane. So for instance, we could do a dot here. You could do a dot in the second quadrant, or down here in the fourth quadrant, wherever you want. You can do any of these points. So each of these points actually has coordinates, and these coordinates are given x and then y. So when you're telling someone the coordinates, you give the x coordinate first. So that's that horizontal coordinate first, and then you do the vertical. And the way we count these is from the origin. So the origin is the origin is this point in the middle, and that's 0, 0. So on the x-axis it sits at the point 0, and on the y it sits at the point 0 as well. And each of the points that we plot from there are counted out from the x. I count it out from the origin. So for instance, if I put a dot here, you can see it's in line with the 3 on the x-axis, and it's 3 points from the origin, and it's in line with the 1 on the y-axis because it's 1 up from the origin. So when we give the points in that xy format, the x is the horizontal units from the origin, and the y is the vertical units from the origin. Okay, so for instance, if we have to plot some of the points, so we've given a number of coordinates there, we have to plot them onto a point. So plot them onto the Cartesian plane. So we're going to put them all onto that Cartesian plane, and then identify which coordinate is not in line with the other points. So the first coordinate A is 6, -4. So 6 is our x coordinate. So what we do is we go along our x-axis and find 6, which is here. And then -4. So we're going to drop down, because that's our y coordinate, to -4, and that's our point A. And we're going to label it as well. For B, it's 0, so our x coordinate is 0, so that's the origin there, and it's -1, so we're going to drop down 1 point. Okay, that's our B coordinate. Now C is 4, so we're going to find 4 on the x-axis, which is our horizontal one, and it's -3, so then we're going to drop down to -3. And that's our C. D is 3, -2, so find 3 on our x-axis and drop down to -2. That's our D point. And last of all, E is -2, 0. So we're going to find -2 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis, so it just stays there. So from there, if we had a ruler, what we could do is we could draw a line through these points and see which one is not in line with the others. Okay, so by the looks of it, from my great ruling there, it's point D that's not in line with the others. Hopefully you would have a ruler and you'll be able to do that a lot more clearly, and you'll be able to check properly which one is not in line with the others. Okay, so our next point is to plot the following points and identify which quadrant they fall into. Okay, so -2, -3. So -2 is our first one, that's our x coordinate, and -3, so we're going to drop down to -3. So this is our first point, and that's in the third quadrant. And our second point is 0, and we drop down to -2. So that's in between our third and fourth quadrant. So this one was in our third quadrant, and this one was in between our third and fourth, right on the borderline there. Okay, So our next one is asking us to actually identify the coordinates of each of these points. So the first one is A. Now remember, when we're writing our coordinates, they're given in an X, Y pattern. So the X coordinate comes first and then the Y. So for A, we're going to drop down till we can read our X coordinate, which was 2. And then we're going to read across at what our Y coordinate is. So it's sitting there in between our 8 and our 6, which would make it 7. For B, find B, here it is. We're going to drop down and read our X coordinate, that's -4. And then across for our Y coordinate, 6. C, where's C? Is there even a C on there? A, B, there's no C. Sorry, that one's not on there. Let's just draw a line there. Okay, D, we're going to find our X coordinate first. So drop down, find our X coordinate, actually go up. It's in between -2 and -4. So it's going to be -3, comma, and then read across for our Y. It's in between -2, -4 again, -3. Our E, so it's sitting right there. Drop down, we've got 0 in the middle, so our X coordinate is 0, and it's sitting on our Y coordinate, which was 2. And lucky last, which is F, find the F point. We're going to go up to read our X coordinate first, so it's sitting in between 6 and 8, which makes it 7. And we read across, it's sitting in between -4 and -6, which makes it -5. So that's how we can identify some coordinates on our graph as well. So that's all we have for our Cartesian planes video. Just make sure you know you're able to identify each of the quadrants there, the first, second, third, and fourth. Remember, first, second, third, and fourth. You're able to identify the origin, which is this point in the middle here, which is 0, 0. You know that our coordinates are written in this format, x, y. You could plot coordinates onto a Cartesian plane, and then if you're given a point, you could actually identify what the coordinates are. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Ask for help in class if you need it.